Hello, boys and girls, and today we are going to be talking about Unit 3, Lesson 9, Rounding Decimals. And there is a really cool way we're going to do that today, but the very first thing we need to make sure you have before we start this lesson, as in every lesson that we've had in this unit, make sure that you have your place value chart. That is your most valuable resource this unit. So if you don't have it right now, press pause, go and get it, or make one really quickly at your desk and come back to this video because you are going to need your place value chart. Okay. So now that you have your place value chart, let's start rounding decimals. All right, so this is a real easy poem for you to remember how to do this. All right, so when we are rounding decimals, we're going to find a place, look next door, 5 or more, you raise the score. 4 or less, let it rest. Next, look to the right and put zeros in sight. Now, if you don't know what all that means, then we're going to practice it. But I'm pretty confident that you have worked on rounding whole numbers in the past. So it works exactly the same for decimals. We just have to remember the steps. So let's get started. Let's practice a little bit just by using our place value chart. So I'm going to put mine in front here, okay? So let's practice rounding to the 10th place. So I'm just going to make up a number. 4 and, we don't say point, 4 and 25 hundredths, okay? Well, let's look at our poem to follow the steps. We find the place, okay, which our place is the 10th spot. So find the place, I'm going to underline my place, and then we look next door, okay? So I'm going to circle next door, just so I know where I'm looking. Find the place, look next door. Okay, so I've done that. Find the place, look next door. 5 or more, we raise the score. So this is 5, so we raise the score. So we raise the score of this number, so that's going to turn this into a 3. This number is going to stay the same because it's to the left of the number. But what happens to all the numbers to the right? Next, look to the right and put zeros in sight. So, I'm going to look to the right of the number that I just changed and put 0. And that's my new number. 4 and 25 hundredths rounds to 4 and 3/10. Or 4 and 30 hundredths, whatever, okay? Because remember, decimals are like money. 4 and 30 pennies is the same as 4 and 3 dimes, right? 4 and 3/10 equals 4 and 30 hundredths. All right, so that's how we practice rounding decimals with our poem. Find the place, look next door, 5 or more, we raise the score. Next, look to the right and put zeros in sight. Very good. All right, do you see how important using a place value chart is in this? All right, so now that we have our poem, let's turn to our activity page for this lesson. I want you to review the OLS lesson in your OLS. It should be in your OLS plan, your daily plan, go through the lesson, Unit 3, Lesson 9. Go through that. It's really good stuff. And then come back to me, okay? So watch that lesson, and then we're going to work through page 131 and 132 using our place value charts and our poem that we just talked about. So join me on page 132 of your activity book, and let's round 65 and 7/10 to the nearest whole number. Well, what's the nearest whole number? Let's plug this into our place value chart. These numbers this number looks like the number on page 132, 65 and 7/10, okay? And we're rounding to the nearest whole number. Well, the nearest one next to the decimal is my ones place. So we're going to round to the nearest ones place. That's my nearest whole number, okay? That's what they mean by that. My nearest whole number is 5, all right, in the ones column. So I'm going to find the place, look next door, 5 or more, you raise the score, and keep everything to the left the same, okay? Now, next, look to the right and put zeros in sight. So 65 and 7/10 rounds to the nearest whole number of 66. Which makes sense because think about it. Again, if we were talking about money, this would be $65.75, right? So you would say, it's about 66 bucks, right? So remember, decimals are like money. So that would be about 66 bucks. We would round up to the nearest whole number. So we're going to say on number 2, 66. Okay? Let's round. Let's go to number 4. This looks like kind of a complicated one. Let's plug this number into our place value chart. Okay? So let's plug 4 into our place value chart. So we have a 4 here, and then the decimal point in 773. All right? Okay, so how would we read this number? 4 and 773 thousandths. Since that's our last blank that we have, we read this word. 4 and 773 thousandths. Okay. And we are rounding it to the nearest tenth. So I go to the blank where it says tenth, okay, and find the place, okay, which is my tenth spot. Look next door, all right, 5 or more, which is it is, raise the score, okay, so I'm going to turn that into an 8. I'm going to raise that. Everything to the left stays the same because it's to the left, not to the right. Look to the right of this new number, put zeros in sight. Okay? Very good. So all the rest of these numbers turn into zeros. So the answer to number 4 is going to be 4 and 773 thousandths to the nearest tenth is 4 and 8 tenths. And if we want to, we can add those zeros to the back. We don't have to. Okay? Great. We have enough time to do one more. Let's do number 6. Yeah, let's do number 6 because we haven't done an example like this. All right, so let's plug in our numbers. 5 is the whole number, and then these numbers come after it. So let's read this number together. 5 and 122 thousandths. That's our word, our last word that we come to, and we're going to round it to the nearest whole number. Remember, our nearest whole number is our ones. So we find the place, look next door. 5 or more, we raise the score. Well, this isn't 5 or more. So we have to go to the next line of the poem. 4 or less, we let it rest. So we're going to let this number rest. It's not going to change because 1 is not bigger than 5. So we're just going to leave this alone. Okay? And there's nothing to the left of it to stay the same. So all of these numbers look to the right, put zeros in sight. Okay? So number 6, the answer to number 6, the nearest whole number is 5. Okay? Very good. All right. Remember, we love to hear from you. Your questions make you a better mathematician. So reach out to your teachers and ask them about rounding decimals. We'll see you next time.